So, and the more money you have, the more you vote. That's the thing too. Not everyone has equal voting rights in here. This is not a democracy. The more money you have, the more your vote is valuable. Good morning. I made some breakfast. And while I was making breakfast, I decided to talk a little bit about Dragon's Dogma 2. I actually wrote something yesterday to talk about this, but honestly, I don't want to be too literal. I just want to talk a little bit. Like, I wrote this whole thing right here. You see, there's a bunch. But anyway, I'm gonna point some of the things in here. But in the end, I think it's just an honest talk about gaming and not just Dragon's Dogma 2. Even though the game has issues. The game is not launching, I can't play the game. My experience with Dragon's Dogma 2 is that I can't play the game. I made a character, I created my character, and after that I tried to boot the game up and it doesn't work. So all the other issues regarding microtransactions and fast traveling, I haven't experienced it myself because I haven't played the game, and I know it sucks anyway for having the option to buy fast travel in a game that was supposed to be a game all about the adventure and just walking around and having fun with the world, and suddenly you can just spend $3 and fast travel around. That sucks. But yeah, I'm gonna list my issues. First, the game doesn't work. I literally can't play the game. I open it up, it opens the menu, I hit play, and the game crashes. Of course, it's super stupid that the game has no restarting or multiple loads, but I honestly think that was not an intended thing for the game. Like, I can't fathom the idea that they actually thought that not being able to restart the game or having load files was something good. Of course, the Novo also sucks, and not being able to have local save data is also awful for a single-player game. That's incredibly stupid. And even though you do have local files, don't delete them. If you do, it might get your account banned because of the Novo, so watch out, don't do that. And yeah, the microtransactions, of course, they also suck. But I think they just splayed it a bit wrong, because most of the items that they were selling apart on the Steam store were a lot of the items that you would find in the deluxe edition for the game, with a few additions in the middle, but most of the items were in the deluxe edition. So I would say the Steam items are basically to just catch people that are stupid and want to spend money to progress on a single player game. Yeah, but the big problem here is what is behind the decision making to have the microtransactions or not have a good PC port. And the reality is, I can't believe that a game director such as Hideaki Tsuno, a guy that made Devil May Cry, that made the other Dragon's Dogma games, that had a foot on a bunch of Capcom games in general, would actually want those things for his game. The guy has been working since 1994. He has been 30 years in the industry. I don't think that's something he's like, yeah, of course, let's have a bunch of microtransactions and ways for people to give us more money. I think he's a guy that just wants to make good games. But hey, I could be wrong, okay? Anyway, the thing is, he works for a big company, which is Capcom. And that's where the cookie crumbles. Even though it's really cheap to create inconvenience to sell convenience, which is what they did with the Port Crystal and the fast traveling, the problem here is the whole industry, you know? And I know this is too broad, but it's not an exclusive problem to Dragon's Dogma 2. Imagine if Yoshi P wasn't holding a bomb vest against the executives in Square Enix and Sony that are just waiting for a chance to claw in and monetize on Final Fantasy XIV, you know? Like, the guy is actually holding it all back, which is insane. But yeah, the reality is we don't live anymore on the golden era of feature-completed games. And it's mostly our own fault, if you think about it. They slowly started clawing inside with those... Wait a second. This is hot. They started slowly clawing in, you know, into our pockets with... At first, it was just the small things. You had the horse in Oblivion. You had microtransactions in MapleStory, which supposedly was the big start for loot boxes and gacha and all of that. But we started actually accepting those things because at the time the games were good. You know, Oblivion was a great game. Skyrim was a great game. MapleStory was fun. I did play MapleStory back in the day. It was a game that I enjoyed. I used to be a big player for Ragnarok Online too, and that game had big problems with monetization as well. And I did spend money, so I am at fault here. But in the end, they started slowly clawing more and more into us and making us spend more money into more stupid things. And more things became a norm, you know, a standard. So, like 10 years ago, you wouldn't have like a 3-day early access for a game. You barely knew the term early access. It's something that's so commonly accepted nowadays. And it was supposed to be something that should be used for indie games or games that were not completed and also at a lower range price. And now we're getting games that are supposedly AAA releases that almost feel like an early access. Like, I like to shit on Diablo 4 a lot, but it's the reality. The game, when it came out, it was incomplete and it had a bunch of issues. And hey, they're starting to fix some of the past mistakes, and it looks like Season 4 might actually do something good about it. So we had also No Man's Skies, which, man, that game promised so much. It promised us not the world, it promised us the freaking universe. And it couldn't deliver, but with proper time, they actually managed to get a good game out. If you play No Man's Skies today, you're probably gonna have some fun if that's your genre. Those small things, those small norms, which used to be just a small cosmetic here or a small materials for your online game, started also clawing it into those single player games, which is what we're seeing with Dragon's Dogma 2 right now, which is freaking insane to pay for a convenience in a single player game. Like, come on, you bought the game at a full box price and you still want to skip content, skip the experience. It's like I would play Elden Ring and buy the Moonlight Greatsword, you know? It's insane. Or like, oh, I can buy and just have Ronnie's quest done for me, or I can skip Margit through a shortcut that I bought. It's crazy. It's crazy. And let's be honest, even though Dragon's Dogma 2 has been getting review bombed, has been having a negative outlook, it's a good game. It's a good game. Like, I've seen some people play it. I'm super excited to play it. I would only like to refund the game because I felt that my money was wasted because I just can't play it. But I can just wait for them to fix it, and I can play the game when it's actually fixed. And that's the thing. When the game is fixed, the PC port is fixed, most people will forget about these issues, and that's what happens constantly. Whenever we have these big releases that fumble, if you remember, Elden Ring at release, it had some problems with the PC port too. But you don't remember that. It quickly got fixed and people just moved on because the game was good. You have the same for Cyberpunk. Okay, Cyberpunk was it's actually a good example of how developers are freaking out right now because of executives in the board. Because I can only imagine Cyberpunk was a game that was being developed for so many years, and they showed us a release date, but they didn't know that a world pandemic was gonna fucking happen. You know, that's the problem. And then the thing is, we had so much expectation built up from so many years of waiting for this game that when the pandemic hit, everyone was like, yeah, Cyberpunk is coming out, I'm gonna have something to play and it's gonna be awesome. But the reality is, those people that were also working on the game, they also had to go home. And the development got slowed down a lot. So there was also a kind of a lack of touch from people to understand the situation. Of course, they delayed it a bunch of times, but the reality is the people that are above them are the ones that are making the decision to just push out the game because customers are gonna get mad. And customers were getting mad because they couldn't comprehend the situation properly, you know? It's a game that was being built with hundreds, if not thousands of people in the development team. So having to find the logistics from moving everyone from an in-office to a remote workstation and still have everything work out and get the game going out in the time that they planned is insane. It's crazy. But yeah, we got a bombed game. The Xbox version didn't work. The PlayStation 4 version didn't work. I had a good PC at the time already, so I could play the game, and I did experience bugs. Hey, I did, but it didn't affect my gameplay a lot. So I still had a good experience. I loved the game a lot, and I felt really bad to see the game get so many bad reviews at the time because I knew the game was good, and I had a lot of fun playing it, you know? And that's the big problem now. It's a mix between the companies and the executives trying to push out things so they can make more money and please the board of directors or people that are actually investing the money inside of games and shit. And at first we get mad and we say, oh, don't pre-order this or don't do that and don't do that. And then we are mad for a bit, for a few days, for a week or two. But then it goes away. People forget about it. And then we just move on. Us gamers, we have the attention span of a fucking goldfish. So those problems, they just go away really fast because the next day there's content about something new that's coming out. You just open YouTube and there's 20 content creators talking about something else because they already made a video about the problem from yesterday. So, you know, that's one of the big issues. We became way too conformed with the reality of gaming nowadays. And they just keep clawing into our pockets. Just think about Hoyoverse. They are basically doing lab tests with Genshin players and Star Rail. It's like A/B testing to see how much free stuff they can give one group and how much the other group is gonna get mad from the other group getting the free stuff and them not getting as much, just so they can find a sweet line to release their next game and give enough things for free, but not as much as they used to do on Honkai, or maybe they will, I don't know, and still get people to wail on the game. You know, it's a lab. We're lab rats inside of their little schemes. You know, I still wanna play Dragon's Dogma 2. I am mad that the game is not working. I did spend $65 for a AAA release, box price that I can't play, and I can't even refund. But hey, I hope they're gonna work. I think they're gonna fix it. I already saw something written today that the patch is coming soon, fixing some of those issues. And also, we're gonna have save files and restarting the game. So feel a bit more relieved knowing that information. But hey, Capcom, you better fucking fix this game because I want to play it. But hey, in the end, this problem has to do with how far we're willing to just, you know, bow down our heads to these developers whenever, just to get like a smidge of a game. And whenever the next trailer comes out, or the next news about the game, the next interview with the game director, or the next insight, the next IGN video with gameplay comes out, we just get freaking hooked and pumped with excitement and hype, and we just forget about the whole issue that has been happening forever. And hey, I'm super happy to see that people were mad about the microtransactions, but in the end, the problem is that's just a symptom. It's not the solution. You know, that's not how we deal with this problem. It's not just being mad about the port or being mad about the microtransactions. That's not going to change anything. The reality is that as far as we keep giving them money, they're just keep these practices going. Early access, battle pass, everything. I don't have to go through the whole list, but everything that you know that you don't like about the gaming industry nowadays is only there because the past two or the past gamers from 10 years ago were okay with it, or they just complained a bit but they let it roll, you know, because we vote with our pockets. That's what means the most to them. It's not that if we're happy or not, is if they're getting money. So, and the more money you have, the more you vote. That's the thing too. Not everyone has equal voting rights in here. This is not a democracy. The more money you have, the more your vote is valuable. If a guy spends $10,000 on Genshin and a free player comes up, oh, thanks for making the game free, he's also making them keep pumping characters for gacha. You know? That's the thing. And that's for every single situation with these predatory practices. As long as we keep buying them, they're gonna keep making it, you know, because whenever the next game comes out, the next big release comes out, we're also there just waiting to see whatever is coming out and just, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, it's GTA 6 is coming out, or okay, I'm not gonna say Elden Ring because Elden Ring was awesome, but you get the gist of it. Probably when the Diablo 4 expansion comes out for $100, there's still gonna be a bunch of people excited about it, just like they did with the last Campfire for Season 4, you know? And the reality is the game is still the same. It's still the same game. It's still the same developer. They're trying to fix some things, but in the end, the people above them, they just want to gain money. Yeah, that's basically it. I want to say don't pre-order, don't do that, don't do that. You can do whatever the fuck you want with your money. You do whatever you want. But hey, just keep in mind that they want your money. Most developers, most AAA developers now, they just want your money. It's not that the people that are making the game want your money, it's that the people that give orders above them want your money, and they have a higher saying than the people that are actually making the game. So yeah, that's basically it. That's a rant about Dragon's Dogma 2. Not Dragon's Dogma 2, but you got the gist of it. Thank you for watching. I hope to catch you in the next one, and Xar out.